Hi, welcome to Talking Text. Our passage is Psalm 2, which is read together with Psalm 1 as an introduction to the book of Psalms, and they share such a common theme, these first two Psalms. Let us read from verse 1. Why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us. Why do the nations rage? The psalmist here painting the picture of the nations are upset, they're enraged, they're discontent, they're not at peace, which is the opposite of the picture in Psalm 1 of the one who delights in God's ways, who delights in God's instruction and law. He's at peace, he's flourishing. Whereas not so with these nations. They are not at peace, they are discontent, they are enraged. And it says these peoples are plotting in vain. All of their plans, their thoughts are coming to nothing. And that word plot is the same word in Psalm 1 for meditate. The one who meditates on God's ways is flourishing. These people who plot, who meditate, who chew, the Hebrew word is havash, which sounds like havash, chewing the cud. As animals do. It's to constantly meditate. What are the things that we meditate on and constantly plot on? It's vain. It's of no hope. It might be unforgiveness, might be even despair or family matters or politics or all sorts of things. What are the things we chew upon and plot or meditate in that are vain, have no use? And the result of this, the scriptures, again, are such a clear mirror to us. It shows us what happens when we are chewing or meditating upon things that are not God's ways. It says what happens is these kings of the earth then set themselves up, and rulers take counsel together. They become their own authority. They've believed enough of this to now set themselves up as the ones who know better than God. And it says they not only do they set themselves up as authority, but they take counsel together. So they draw in others who will agree with them. And often when we are plotting like this, when we're doing something that's against God's own ways, we find those around us who will agree with us, or at least not challenge us to pursue God above ourselves. And it says they take counsel together. And what happens is ultimately when you do that, you are turning against God. It says they end up coming against God and against his anointed. His anointed there, that word is literally Messiah, pointing to Jesus. And this psalm is quoted in Acts 4 about the rulers who plotted against Jesus and put him on trial and sentenced him to death. It's quoted in Acts 4 in this way. But that's the result of plotting in our own ways, is that we end up being in opposition to God and coming against him. And the reason we do that is because we want to be free. It says, the psalm says there, let us take off these chains, these so-called chains, let us burst them off. Well, it's vain and foolish and leads to withering ultimately. Jesus is the one who said, come to me, all you are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take on my yoke. And so the yoke we want is not our own yoke, actually, as much as we may think it is. The yoke we want is the yoke of Jesus. So why do the nations rage? Because they want to be their own boss, and they want to hatch their own plans, and ultimately they want to throw off God. And I might ask us, have you set yourself up as an authority in something? I'd encourage you to become meek and let God be the authority on all things. Have you put your instruction or your desires above God's? Have you thrown off God's instruction in some way? I want to encourage you to come back to letting God be the authority in all things. Thanks for letting the text talk.